I was blind to the lies because I wanted to believe. The first time Daniel lied, it was so small I could cradle it in my palm and pretend it was nothing. 3 months into us, still dizzy with newness. He texted at 11:47 p.m. Meeting ran over. Soon. Miss you already, Red Heart. I was on my couch in the apartment I'd painted sage green to feel more grown up, tea cooling beside me. I read the message 3 times. Let the little heart emoji soften the late hour. I didn't ask why a junior marketing coordinator had meetings past midnight on a Thursday. I didn't wonder about the faint jasmine perfume on his jacket 2 days later. I decided it was from a crowded train or a colleague's hug, or simply my mind playing tricks. Love, I told myself, means choosing trust. 6 months in, the lies acquired weight. Plans cancelled 30 minutes before we were supposed to meet. Family emergency. Friend in crisis. Once. Food poisoning so bad I can't even look at my phone. I stood outside his building holding a container of homemade chicken noodle soup, rain soaking my shoes, until midnight passed and my texts went unanswered. The next afternoon he opened the door looking wan and sorry, pulled me inside, kissed my forehead and whispered, "You're too good to me." My heart folded itself smaller to make room for his gratitude. I told myself people in pain deserve grace, not interrogation. I began hoarding his excuses like pressed flowers, each one flattened carefully between the pages of memory so I could look back and see a pattern of difficulty rather than deception. Work stress. Recurring issues with his father's heart. Commitment wounds from his ex. Every explanation felt like an act of devotion on my part. See how understanding I can be. See how deeply I can love someone who is struggling. The nights he didn't come home stopped feeling unusual. I learned to occupy only my side of the bed, arms wrapped around his pillow, breathing in the fading trace of his shampoo. I stopped asking where he'd been. Questions sounded like accusations, and I refused to become that woman. Instead, I became the one who anticipated his needs, who forgave preemptively, who loved so hard the cracks didn't show. A year in, I met her without meaning to. Blair. Accounts receivable at his firm. She liked a photo of us at a vineyard. His arm around my waist, golden hour light making us look invincible. Her comment read, "Beautiful couple, Red Heart." I clicked her profile out of idle curiosity. Then I couldn't stop. Pictures of Daniel laughing across candlelit tables I'd never sat at. Daniel asleep on her gray couch, the same woven throw blanket I kept on mine draped over him. Daniel kissing her cheek, her caption, "My favorite human." I slid to the bathroom floor and scrolled until the battery died and the screen went black. Then I cried until my ribs hurt. Then I wiped my face, reapplied concealer, and went to work as though nothing had shattered. I told myself the photos were old. I told myself they were just friends. I told myself that if I became more patient, more beautiful, more understanding, he wouldn't need anyone else. I stayed. 2 years slipped past like that. Long stretches of tenderness punctuated by absences I learned not to name. He proposed on a Tuesday in October, down on one knee in our kitchen while the pasta water boiled over. The ring held a single emerald-cut diamond that caught every light in the room. I said yes before he finished asking. Happy tears, shaking hands, his arms around me like a vow. For a moment I believed we'd made it through. The wedding was small, 30 guests in a garden behind an old Victorian. My mother held my hand during the ceremony and whispered, "You deserve this joy." I smiled until my jaw ached. Daniel looked at me as though I were the center of his universe. For 3 hours I let myself believe it. Santorini for the honeymoon. White walls, blue domes, sunsets that looked like oil paintings. On the 4th night while he showered, his phone lit up. A text from Claire. "Miss you already. When are you home?" I stared until the letters blurred. My pulse didn't spike the way it used to. Simply sank. I turned the phone face down, walked to the balcony, and watched moonlight silver the caldera. I thought of every night I'd waited up. Every lie I'd repackaged as circumstance. Every time I'd chosen the comfort of hope over the coldness of fact. When he emerged, towel low on his hips, he kissed my shoulder and asked if I was okay. Said yes. I said the view was breathtaking. I said I loved him. Meant it. I just no longer meant it enough to keep pretending. We returned home. Routine settled over us again. He still vanished for hours. I still acted as though I didn't notice. Claire's Instagram posts continued. New restaurants, new captions, same man. I watched from a burner account, a silent spectator to the parallel life I wasn't invited to. The end arrived without drama. One Sunday morning in March, I woke before him. I brewed coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and wrote on the back of a crumpled grocery receipt because stationery felt too formal for what was left between us. I've spent years trying to make our story true. I turned every red flag into poetry. I convinced myself loving you meant swallowing anything you gave me, even silence. I don't hate you. I'm not even angry anymore. I'm just finished lying to myself. I'm leaving. Not because my love ran out, but because I finally found some for me. I set the note on the counter beside his mug, packed one suitcase, walked out while he slept. The first weeks were brutal. The apartment echoed. The bed stretched empty on both sides. I cried in the cereal aisle over the brand of oat milk we used to share. But the tears grew less frequent. The silence turned companionable. I began noticing small things again. The smell of rain on warm pavement, the way light moved through leaves, my own unexpected laughter at a friend's terrible pun. I didn't date. I wasn't ready. But I began to understand something I'd fled from for years. Love isn't blind by nature. We blind ourselves when the truth would cost too much. I wanted our story so badly I wrote myself into a version where his lies didn't exist, where I was always enough, where we were always happy. A story built on denial isn't love. It's endurance. Now, when Daniel crosses my mind, I feel something quiet and tender. Not rage. Not regret. Something closer to gratitude. Not for the pain but for the lesson it carried. I can love so completely it nearly undoes me. And I can also choose to stop. I still believe in love. Just not the kind that demands I erase what I see. I believe in the kind that requires honesty, even when it stings. I believe in the kind I'm finally learning to offer myself.